Hello, ha. Welcome back to Security Stuff with Henchy. I am Henchy, and I'm going to be talking about security stuff. Today's an interesting one. Hopefully, it won't go on for too long, but it's an interesting one, and it stems from something I saw the other day um, at a press conference where two boxers engaged with each other. Um, and in that incident or in their confrontation, um, a member of security who was standing in between them was treated a particular way by one of the boxers. I'm going to play the clip for you so you can see and know what I'm talking about, and then we'll kind of go through it. But a couple of things occurred to me whilst watching that, and um, I thought to myself, it's possible that everyone doesn't know their stuff as well as they should. If you might be in the security industry and you might not be as well versed as you should be. I'm going to say this to you now. Learn your stuff. Know your stuff. Know your stuff. It is crucial. Know your stuff. It might be the difference between um, a broken nose and a not broken nose. It might be the difference between a compensatory claim for lots of money or not. It might be the difference between you shining on the day and you getting mugged off. And I don't care how risky the nature of our job is, you don't deserve to get mugged off. I'm here for you. So we're going to get into it. I'm going to watch the video and play it at the same time, right? So here's me watching it.
What are you talking about? Like what? Like what? You're lucky to find it. I'll fuck you up right now. Yeah.
You see, this guy comes in when I'm cutting weight.
Comes in when he comes. I'll see you tomorrow. I'll see you tomorrow after the fight. I'll see you tomorrow after the fight.
Yeah, you get in that ring.
Yeah, what? Get in that ring. I'll get in that ring and fucking give it to you. Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course, mate. You're fucking lucky you're fighting tomorrow. You're lucky, mate. Damn with me.
Okay, then come close, man. I like this. I like this energy. I like this energy.
Yeah, what? You like the girl?
You're a kid.
You're a kid, yeah, kid that's gonna fuck you up. Yeah, kid that's gonna fuck you up. Yeah.
Watch what happens.
Yeah, watch what happens. Dead boy walking, yeah? Dead boy walking, yeah? Yeah, you're lucky. You're lucky you're fighting tomorrow, and I need you to win.
Okay.
Yeah, you're lucky, so I'll give you a good ass being in front of 60,000. That's what's gonna happen. That's what's gonna happen. That's what's gonna happen. That's what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
That's what's gonna happen. I'll be there tomorrow. I'll see you tomorrow night then. I'll see you tomorrow night then. Arrogant prick.
Right. So I want to say this immediately. I am not interested in talking about my views on the boxer. It's Conor Benn, Nigel Benn's son. Big up Nigel every time. I don't know Conor, never met him, and I'm not here to discuss him. You can form your own opinions on him. That's that. I'm not interested in what you think of him. I have met Chris on a couple of occasions. Big up Chris, my guy. And I'm not saying my guy because of anything else other than when we met, we had a really good interaction. Big up Napa. Broski was in the mix. So again, I want to reiterate, this isn't about your personal opinion on Conor Benn. This is about the behavior and interaction of the security operative that Conor Benn interacted with. Now, it's often difficult as a close protection operative to determine in the entertainment world where you should step in. The rise of celebrity boxing, YouTubers, streamers, and the importance of virality when it comes to social media content is huge. You cannot avoid in this day and age the fact that people use social media as part of their marketing, as part of their getting jobs. The same way a lot of operatives now, your social media is part of your advertising. They've seen videos and images of you on previous jobs. It helps solidify um, the idea that you're good at what you do. Equally, YouTubers, if you look at, say, Kai Cenat, IShowSpeed, the chaos and the madness is what makes them entertaining. So don't go and take a Kai Cenat job or an IShowSpeed job and then complain you just had to sprint down a motorway facing traffic. Or what, I'm exaggerating here, but you understand what I'm trying to say. Now, in the sports world, the entertainment value has shifted to an extreme now where people are figuring out ways of trying to make these press conferences more elaborate, more exciting, more captivating to the audience, because the audience at the moment, Joe Public, everybody else, is bombarded with so much content. You really need to grab their attention in the first 10 seconds or you've lost it. So you find that athletes, sports people, musicians, you name it, who are people in the YouTubers beef. And I'm not saying that some of the beefs aren't real. Some beefs are actually not marketing related. They are not social media related. Some people actually have grievances with each other. And we might touch on that in a second. But in general, there is a lot of marketing. There is a lot of need to look a certain way for the benefit of increasing your audience or your marketability or your selling power so that you can make money or so that you can make more money. So when you think about fighters, if it feels like there's bad blood, if there's been tension, if you know that one fighter has told the other fighter, I slept with your babes, or I slapped up your dad, whatever, that you as a normal person, you're like, how is man gonna respond? I need to know. And then you are now part of this. What are you gonna do, big man? How can you let man talk about whatever he's talked about? Right. So that's the context. You are in an environment where you have to be a professional, where you have to protect someone that has to do something to some extent that actually creates the conflict or the controversy. Cool. You might actually have been hired by a third party that's neutral to everything, which I think is what's happened here. I will not be convinced that this guy was actually with Conor Benn. So you might have been hired by a third party still for the same reason, to ensure that this person does not put themselves in a predicament where maybe a criminal offense is committed, or they're not attacked, or they don't find themselves on the receiving end of a criminal offense. Here's the thing. If you're a security operative and you know that your role is to prevent things from escalating, I have to accept that it's a really, depending on who you are, where you're from, how you've grown up, and what might seem really dangerous to you or scary to you, we would approach that at different levels. Some people who haven't probably seen madness on the road would have felt a way or felt inclined to step in as soon as those guys got face to face. For other people, you're waiting until you physically see something happen, like a punch is thrown, a push has happened, or because you've seen more extreme levels of violence or confrontation. So in your mind, you're not fazed by talking. Regardless, there has to be a point where you make the decision that works for you. And when you make that decision, You must know your stuff. You must know what you're allowed to do and how far you're allowed to go with what you're allowed to do to be able to stand on what you've done. I want to say again, this is not about Conor. This is about the interaction with the security and how the security responds to it. Conor gets into Chris Eubank Jr.'s face, saying stuff to him. The security is actually not directly in front of Conor, but his hand is in between the two of them. I'm guessing he hasn't physically touched him at this point, but Conor has walked into the guy's hand, as you can see him pressing forward. And then he's looked at the security. By the way, for the security operative, I'm not criticizing you either. I'm just using you as an example to share. You did well. I'm not gonna, like, as I said, you're the only person that can determine for yourself how far you need to go, or what you need to do. Because I'll also say this: you saying sorry to him or you doing nothing about it also allowed them to have their moment, and he wasn't going to do anything, right? I'm going to say that off the bat, and that's not against him. That's just the fact, because I'll tell you why he wasn't going to do anything. None of them are, because they are licensed fighters who cannot afford to be suspended or lose their licenses, because then they cannot fight and they can't earn money. He was doing all of that because he wants to have a fight with Chris. That fight is an organized sport, and you need to be licensed to be able to fight. If you assault me, you will lose your license. If you assault Chris, you will lose your license. And this isn't a back alley where it's your word against mine. People are filming. This is in a public space. So I say again, there is a limit to how mad they can move, and they know that. They will push the boundaries, and that's where your interpretation of what's crazy comes into it. Anyway, let me get back to the point. So big up bro that was involved in this. This isn't a criticism of you. This is just for discussion purposes, so people know that they need to know their stuff. Conor walks into the guy and then looks at him and says, "Don't touch me. You just walked into me." My man doesn't engage with him. He doesn't bite. Allows him to carry on. And then pushes Chris Eubank Jr. Sorry, I'm just playing it back in my head. Pushes Chris Eubank Jr. And even though he pushes Chris, he goes back a couple of steps. Cool. Quite rightly so, because there has now been physical contact. The security guy, the operative, gets a bit tighter on Conor as he's further away. So now he's in a position where he can actually physically wedge himself in between the two of them. Because at this point, you're not sure where it's going to go. You're genuinely not sure where it's going to go. This isn't Conor's fight. He's just someone who's here to try and get himself a fight. So the guy's positioned himself properly. Conor looks at the guy and says, "Get off me." The guy agrees and complies. Would I have complied? I don't know. I can't say for certain I would have complied. But if I did, I would have complied with a caveat. I would have been like, "I've got no problem getting off you, but I'm going to need you to stay here." Or, "But please keep your hands to yourself. Put your hands down." Or "You got to be easy. Come and relax." Something. I have to help you understand that we can't, because Chris Eubank was just about to fight. He's inches away from a fight. We can't allow something to happen to him. You included. Because you might think you're trying to get yourself a fight. You lose the promoter some money, you're really going to have a problem. Remember, all of that stuff is about bread. They are trying to get money. So whether it's selling themselves for the next fight or being here for this current fight, and somebody is paying that money, so that person is making more money than we all are, and they're going to protect their interests. For all intents and purposes, this little kerfuffle will get them a little bit more viewership, or maybe just some social media footprint, whatever, cool. But you can't affect the money in real life like that. So even if I do comply, if it was me, and I'm like, cool, I'll get off you, but I'm going to need you to stay here. I'm going to need you to not get physical, please. Or, all right, cool, well, can you calm down? And then, something. If I do comply, I'm not going to just comply sheepishly. Or I might just be like, no, bro, you've gone too far. Can I ask you to leave, or can I ask you to stay over here, or speak to him from here? And there's nothing wrong with that. Why? That's your job. Now, there's two sides to that. That actually might make things more interesting and force him to act even more crazy. Cool. You can act crazy. You're not going to do anything. Here's the thing. People are like, I know some people might think this. What if he does do something? Yes. What if he does? I want you to know, I will not stop any professional fighter who is licensed and makes millions from their sport from punching me in the face in front of many witnesses and where people are filming. Whilst I'm working and doing my job within the guidelines of my job, be my guest. That will be the most expensive punch you have ever thrown, most expensive slap you have ever thrown, most expensive push you have ever made. I'm not the one, because I didn't come here for you. You don't even have it. You're just trying to get a fight. You're just trying to do some rah-rah, and you think you're going to use me. There is no shame in a professional fighter having one up over on me. Cool. Bro, listen, you might give me a little push. I leap. I'm leaping into the stands. I'm making sure I get cut somewhere. You're doing too much, and you can't. So it's a bad idea. And now the evidence is overwhelming, so that you can't come and beg me later, bro. No, I'll see you in court. Run my money. So now where you went to market yourself so you could get more money, now you've lost money. They are aware of that. They're not going to do that. People are going to come and beg you behind the scenes. You can't beg me. Bring some money. Bring the bread. Because you chose to break the law. There's no bad boy version of breaking the law with overwhelming evidence against you. There's no bad boy version of breaking the law in secret. Look how loads of people are being found out now. The criminal justice system in the United Kingdom, or maybe in the Western world in general, has a lot of faults. It's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. One of the things you can give them credit for, though, is, bro, 5 years on, 10 years on, 20 years on, you might still get found guilty of something. They've done inquests or investigations for people who are dead. How'd you find a dead man guilty, bro? Don't waste the taxpayers' money. But that's what they're on. So, you know that you cannot afford to commit this crime. Sometimes people are like, right, Henchy, why are you so confident about? I was like, I can't 100% say someone isn't crazy. But I do know that if you're crazy enough to pick me to be the person that you're going to break the law with, you will suffer one of two consequences. If we are going to break the law together, I'm going to give it back to you as hard as you have tried to offer it to me. Pause. 2, if I'm not crazy on that day, which I'm never when I'm working, I'm always professional, you will suffer the legal consequence. You think that you're going to say to me, bro, you can't snitch. First of all, I'm not snitching. I'm a witness. I'm a victim in this situation because you thought you was a rude boy. I apologize for that use of grammar. You thought you were a rude boy. Guess what? See you in court. I'll be rolling on the floor like when the boys dive on the football pitch, 16 rows. Like, bro, he just touched you on your shoulder. Yeah, bro, shoulder's gone. Shoulder's gone. I'm gonna need your people to get in touch with my people. I need that compensation. When, especially when the more famous you are, bro, we are in public spaces. The more you've started a confrontation already, so all eyes are on us. Great. For all the phones are out. Great. I tell people now, bro, just don't do crime. Especially if you have any level of popularity, do not do crime. I'll say it one more time. If you have any level of popularity, do not do. Listen, we are being watched so hard. Up until a few years ago, London was the most watched city in the world by CCTV. Currently, it is Beijing in China. Beijing, I believe so. Where 99%, no, 100%, excuse me, this is a true fact. 100% of their public spaces is on CCTV. There is nowhere that is a public space in that city that you will not be captured by CCTV. And it's not just regular CCTV, it's facial recognition system. And watch this, movement recognition system recognition. So you think, oh, I've covered my face. They'll be like, no, you run like this. That was you running. We can prove that to you. I don't know how the system works, but that's what they got going on over there. So, but that's not where we are. Let's leave that. But before it was them, London was the most watched city in the world. Now, if you have any level of popularity, add to that when you are out, people are filming you. Some you're aware of and some you're not. The amount of times I'm aware, look at all the content you see on social media of people being filmed on trains, bus stops, roads, in the gyms, whatever. I don't approve of it. I'm just saying it exists. We know it exists. Some of you lot might even be guilty of doing it. Cool. Do not commit crime. Do not think with your popularity you can go and act crazy at will. You will pay the price.
Ha! Surprise!
And definitely do not think you're going to act crazy with me. You will pay the price.
Oh my gosh!
I don't need to be a rude boy when I'm at work. My job is to mitigate risk and keep people safe. Now, while I am performing that, if you want to be the threat, I will do my best to diffuse that. If I have no choice, to neutralize that. But should you become an aggressor and should you become extremely dangerous, and should you bring that danger to us or to me because of your ego and you succeed, you, my friend, have committed a criminal offense. And guess what? You will pay for your crimes. And guess what? I will be compensated. I'm not afraid of a punch in the face. Some of you man ain't been punched in the face. That's the problem. Some of you man ain't been punched in the face. You ain't been punched in your sternum. You've never taken a low kick. Security operatives need to know your stuff. Now, let's make this enjoyable for discussion purposes. Let's assume the security guy said, no, I'm sorry, I can't get off you. And then because he wasn't actually touching him either. And I think that's probably what made me want to talk about this more. He wasn't actually touching him. And the guy said, get off me. So he's now said, I'm sorry, I can't allow you to, let's assume Connor strikes him. the guy is well within his rights to strike Conor back because he is defending himself. I've said this before on a different podcast. Members of the public think security are not allowed to use lawful violence against them. What is lawful violence? Self-defense. What is self-defense from the perspective of UK law? Also go and do your research and check this out. In a nutshell, I want to say this, I am paraphrasing here. You are allowed to use commensurate force to stop someone from harming you or others, or property, right? From committing a criminal offense, right? By harming you or others or property. There are other things connected to that, but that is the general gist of it. So if someone punches you, self-defense allows you to punch them back. If someone punches you, self-defense does not allow you to get a hammer and break them in half. That is not commensurate. That is not equal to. Obviously, then it's open for interpretation. If, say, for instance, someone picks up a bottle for you and you pick up a baseball bat, the judge will have to decide whether you've gone beyond or whether you've gone equal to. Some of you might be able to understand this. The only problem with that, a little bit in reality, is that in order to defeat violence with violence, unfortunately, you have to be more violent. If someone has offered you violence at level 7 and you meet their violence at level 7, you have not subdued their violence, you're just equal to it, and you guys will just go until whatever. If you meet their violence, their level 7 violence with the level 8 violence, you will be able to subdue their violence and take control of them. I hope that makes sense. Now, I'm not telling you to do that. I'm just saying to you how the whole self-defense area becomes a gray area. So, my rule for self-defense is always this: avoid the conflict. Know your stuff. Know what you're allowed to do. Know how you're allowed to do it, and avoid having to get into the conflict. Avoid having to use violence. But should you have no choice, know the limit with which you are able to take it. I'm going to say this again. This episode has nothing to do with your opinion or my opinion on Conor Benn, because in my professional mind, I know that he might actually just, however this looks, he might be a nice guy. I haven't met him. We don't know each other like that. So this is necessary in his line of work. He's a fighter, and fighters in some of their minds need to come across aggressive or be interested in fighting other people. And this is the way he's decided to go about that. Cool. Or there might genuinely be bad blood between them. Cool. That's cool. This is about the interaction where the security operative's concerned. Should the security operative have done more? Actually, my honest belief is no. What he did was perfect because he allowed them to do what they were doing. Would I have done that? Probably not. But that's why I'm saying let's have this discussion, because I'm confident in why I wouldn't have done it the way he did it. So I'm not saying that his way is wrong. I'm saying know your stuff so that you can be able to justify whatever decision you take. And also be aware, listen, you know, when they talk about dynamic risk assessments, be aware that whatever decision you take might make things either go left or might make them go right. To end on a lighter note, or a less serious note, I think I like the fact that after telling him that he was going to smash him up, this is Connor to Chris, after he said, I need you to win this fight. I thought that was really nice. I don't know if anyone saw the humor in that, but I thought that was really nice. Big love to everyone in the entertainment industry. Listen, we need this. I'm not against all of this because it's where we are. This generates business, and that business is good for my business. So I can't hate it. Do you understand? But I need to know how I fit in and what my guidelines and my parameters are. And I need to know how I can operate in that space professionally. And I hope that you do too. Do your research. Know the law in the country where you operate. Know the law in the countries, or become aware of the laws in the countries that you will operate in. Just don't assume that, I come from a country that's really well known. Bro, you go and try and practice English rules somewhere else, they will give you the duffs or they will throw you in jail. Be familiar with the laws in the territories that you are going to. There are some places that you are going to, you might need to grab yourself a taser, which is legal over there. That might be the most you might be able to have as a foreigner. Be familiar with what the self-defense rule is in the country that you are going to, because you are not a member of law enforcement. That's what you have at your disposal. So know it back to front. That's it for this week's episode. I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Slap that subscribe button. Slap the notifications bell. And slap your neighbor if they haven't slapped the subscribe button. Bow.